Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tarnished Bronze. And we have a very special kind of saga to go through today, which stretches with creators that date all the way back to basically the end of the Bronze Age and the dawn of the Image Age. And we also have a property that dates back to the start of the Image Age. If you consider X-Force to be the start of the Image Age, then X-Statix sprung out of the last few issues of that original X-Force run, and it's by Pete Milligan, who is basically a great Batman scribe. That's where I first got into Milligan's work, but he also does a lot of stuff with the 2000 AD people. He's very, very big for Shade the Changing Man, which was one of the first Vertigo books, and it's even a Vertigo book that predates the Vertigo label. And more recently, he's done Profane. I think that was with Boom Studios, and that was a very good book as well. So we might cover that on the channel as well. So he's the thinking man's kind of Vertigo writer, as opposed to necessarily the most famous Vertigo writer. And then the art by this is by Mike Allred, who's probably best known for his Madman creation. Now, he's been doing Madman for maybe 30 years now. I must admit, I do have a few issues of Madman, but not the whole oeuvre, as you will. And I also really like Michael Red for his iZombie. So I think that was either done with DC or Vertigo or some sort of spin-off of the DC publishing arm. And that, of course, was turned into a Netflix show. And it's quite a neat take on zombie detectives. So it's one of the better zombie books out there, actually. And of course, he's done the Fantastic Four, and he's more recently done some really, really great Batman and Superman issues as well, alongside the Silver Surfer. So there's both a mainstream and an independent element to both of these characters. Both of these creators. And their mainstream work that they work on together, the X-Statix, which is basically kind of like the American Idol or, Britain's Got Talent of superheroes. So this is where everyone was kind of online. You had to make sure that you were merchandising yourself. It was all about the views, all about the likes, all about the clicks. Now, that was a 2003, 4, 5. The world has changed a lot. The world has changed to more mirror the world of the X-Statix than what we would ever maybe think. And so here we're basically rebooting the X-Statix for this modern Vanderpump Rules consuming universe that we find ourselves in. And so right off the bat, Allred is just doing very strong figure work. So he's just a really great cartoonist. Everyone just looks kind of cool and beautiful in his sagas. And so here we've got Zeitgeist, and Zeitgeist is going to be the main antagonist of this. Now, he really, really, really needs to he wants to reach apotheosis. He wants to become godlike, and in order to become godlike, he needs to get more likes and more followers so he can achieve that sort of transcendence. And this whole series, this whole saga, so it's basically Giant Size X-Statix issue 1, plus the Ex-Cellent season 1, issues 1 to 5, and the Ex-Cellent season 2, issues 1 to 5, so 11 issues in total. We kind of have this character driven just to become famous, and that is such a kind of a hallmark of what it is in our world now. People are just driven to become famous rather than become really good at something, and then as a happy accident I am noticed on the street, or as an unhappy accident I'm noticed on the street. Instead, the whole sort of thing is, if I have 300 million followers, then I'll be able to turn that into an album deal, and then I can make all of the crappy music and I'll have a ready built-in audience, as opposed to, if I make music, then maybe I'll get an album deal, and then maybe I'll have 300 million people or 30 million people or however many people are going to see these Oasis reunion shows organically follow me and really be into my stuff. And so the end of the last sort of saga some of the members of X-Statix died. Now, part of the X-Statix and the end of the X-Force and so on and so forth is the fact that a lot of these characters die all the time. They're disposable. Now, whether that's a comment on kind of the Harry Styleses of this world, these people are disposable as far as their value to the entertainment industry, that's not for me to decide, but that's something that I kind of think it is. It's about all of these disposable talent shows, how they have all of the technical accomplishment that you need, but none of the background stuff. So they're not writing the songs, they're not able to do the craft, they're just able to do the thing. And so that is why Zeitgeist needs a new person who's able to basically be a teleporter, because the last teleporter died. And in order to pull off all of these capers, he needs to find a teleporter. And so we've got the daughter who used to think she was the sister of You Go Girl, who was X-Statix's previous teleporter, kind of delving into her mother's sort of hidden side as a superhero. She meets Dead Girl, who's a dead person who's able to project to the real plane. They kind of talk about their feelings, talk about their legacy, and then the rest of the X-Statix basically try and do a recruitment drive with this character, and we're introduced to the other members of the X-Statix here. They're kind of really dysfunctional people. Dupe was in Wolverine and the X-Men, which is the one where he's kind of is the headmaster of the Xavier's School for Gifted Children. Dupe is a sort of favorite of mine, but here it's not played as much up. So other writers, other people will kind of overuse Dupe in a way here. He's kind of underused, and he speaks in this weird language, and you can also do the translations for yourself. So that's kind of a fun thing. Just wanted to highlight the versatility of Mike Allred. So he can draw a really good lab. This is like a villain's lab. He's got the vats. He's got Venus de Milo kind of growing here in a thing. He's kind of imprisoned our heroine because she's able to teleport. His teleporter is currently reassembling herself from celestial fragments. Just some really interesting stuff. This is all in the giant size one, so it's no real spoilers. The story goes on and on and on. Great combat, great body poses, great positioning, good fight scenes, and just things that are just emotions that are difficult to sort of get across. He gets concern and tension across in his artwork really, really well. And so here is just kind of like a snapshot of the entire series. You can just see it's quite visually affecting. And so if you kind of like this pop art style, if you kind of like Mike Allred, or if you like any of Peter Milligan's works, then definitely give this a try. I think this was just criminally unheralded. It might have come out in the COVID time, and so I don't know that it got the best PR. I don't know why it was divided up into two little sub-series. They didn't seem to have that much delay between them, but it is really good. It's an excellent meditation on the vapidity of sort of modern popular culture, and it's the inherent fragility of its output. So we've got people who are just constantly gazing into a mirror, and their cultural output is almost zero. Here I am on YouTube with almost zero cultural output, but nonetheless, this is like a proper commentary on that sort of thing. Really, really great stuff. And the series is pretty easy to get hold of. I don't think it's all that collectible. So, give it a try. Give the X-Statix a try. There's omnibuses out there. There's trade paperbacks out there. It seems like Mike Allred has really got some wind in his sails, doing some great work for DC right now. Hopefully he'll get back to Mad Men. We'll probably catch Mad Men on the channel Madman at some point. This has been Tarnished Bronze. We've been covering X-Statix and Ex-Cellent. Like, follow, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.